Welcome to Thrive with Pride from Age Options, an online space for LGBT older adults and those who care for them. This month, we spoke with Jano Lane, treasurer of the board of One Roof Chicago, a new holistic intergenerational housing project looking to break new ground in LGBT community building. This is a recording of a live event held on Zoom, which included a very lively Q&A, which was not recorded. Please see below in the video description for information on how you can become involved with One Roof Chicago or join Thrive with Pride for our next live event.
It's my absolute pleasure to introduce Janice, or as she's letting me call her, Jano Boyd Lane, who is the treasurer of the board of One Roof Chicago, an LGBTQ organization whose sole mission is to build intergenerational housing for LGBTQ youth for a supported and limited stay, and for LGBTQ seniors, where they can remain safely for the rest of their lives. She is a wife, a writer, and creative artist who also works as the Community Engagement and Retention Coordinator at the Rush Alzheimer's Disease Center. As a child, her mother would take her around the neighborhood to visit with the sick and check in on the elderly. And these informal wellness calls demonstrated the importance of caring for others and fuel the work that Jano does today. So Jano, welcome so much. I can't wait to hear more about this. Those of you who are live with us on the call, we will have plenty of time after this for Q&A. You are welcome to either hold on to those questions or you can put them in the chat, and we'll make sure we have plenty of time to get to them after these slides. So Jano, please, when you're ready.
Hello, everybody. I'm so honored to be here. I can't tell you how much I am. When I was first drafted by my board for me to do this, oh man, I was so nervous. I'm pretty nervous now. So please give me a little bit of grace, but I am just honored to be in your presence, all this knowledge and all this care. So let's go to the first slide. I'm going to read some, I'm going to talk some, and I hope I don't talk too much because I want to hear questions that you may have. Some years ago, I went to a lesbian health conference in San Francisco. And I'm a little bit of a kind of nerdy. Sometimes I don't catch up to things till later, a person in the background many times. And a woman from Sage came and she talked about a couple who were together for most of their lives, but they had aged, they'd gotten older. And so they tried to get senior housing. When they went to apply for senior housing, they were told that they couldn't be together because they weren't married. This was in 2002 when I was at this conference. So what ended up happening, they needed to be in senior housing because they had gotten older and one of them was having some challenges. So they separated the two. One of them was going into dementia, but was doing better with the care of her partner. What ended up happening, she soon got worse and worse and worse and passed away. That story broke my heart. I could not even imagine that happening to me. And so in the back of my mind, having senior housing for LGBTQ people has always been on my mind. So what I ended up doing, I ended up signing up for all these places, these retirement places. And I would get mail back to Mrs. Lane, and they would send me floor plans and everything. And it was so interesting. But a lot of these places were like religious based, and in Florida or in Ohio, and you had to have a little bit more money than I was earning, or at the time I could see myself earning. So that's one of the reasons that this is important to me, because I didn't want to end up like those women who now we have marriage rights, who could not be together to the end of their lives to have support. 78% of LGBTQ older adults entering long-term care facilities go back in the closet. And we had a situation like that here in Illinois just recently. But 23% in LTC long-term centers, facilities have experienced verbal or physical harassment from other residents. That's from Sage. We feel like we have a right to treat people a certain way in the society. And as an aging LGBT person, we have to deal with that along with ageism. And things have got to change. And One Roof Chicago is hoping to help open up the dialogue a little bit more and give people different options and people a different way of thinking, along with challenging how people are treated overall. I'm going to go to the next slide, please. LGBTQ youth are twice as likely to experience homelessness, with higher rates of trauma and 2 times the risk of early death. I came from Chapin Hall. I remember going to hear a talk with a trans woman some years ago. Her name was Lois, I can't think of her last name. She's since passed away. She talked about how getting kicked out of her home, how that led to so many other things in her life. But youth of color who may be trans are usually kicked out much earlier and don't get the kind of support from their home. And these youth end out on the street. Young women get kicked out also. And it's hard to even imagine telling your 13, your 14, your 15, your 16-year-old to get out. Some of you on this call may have had that experience. I hope you didn't. But it's just unfathomable. When I was 16 years old, I was so goofy. If my mother had kicked me out, I don't know what I would have done. I'm glad she allowed me to stay at home. I wasn't that much aware of my own sexuality, but she had a sense that I was, I guess, headed in that direction. But I don't know what it would have been like trying to find a place to sleep night after night after night after night. I know that when we're not getting enough sleep, like Kate, it messes with our mental health. And one day after another of not getting sleep, that's what homelessness is like. Not getting enough sleep, not getting enough rest. And then your mental health starts getting affected. Youth identifying as LGBTQ and Black or multiracial had the highest rates of homelessness. 30% of transgender people have experienced homelessness at some point in their lives. 70% who stayed in the shelter reported mistreatment. I used to work at a place called Haymarket, and I had a lot of trans clients, and the things they would tell me about homeless shelters was just appalling, just appalling. The need for stable housing combined with job services, job training, and mentorship. That's what One Roof Chicago is focusing on doing, is creating housing for seniors and youth to get some training, job training, skills training, life training, and be there for a limited amount of time so that they can go out into the world and take care of themselves. Next slide, please. This came from Black Club Chicago. If you're not aware of that, it is like an online paper. It gives information about communities and blocks. It gives more positive information than the regular newspapers. It is always, just informative in a different way. But this article was there about Chicago's LGBTQ youth facing homelessness trauma. This just came out. This was like, what, April 19th? This seemed like it's not going away. It's like it's getting worse. Next slide, please. We're talking about congregate housing for LGBTQ plus seniors, independent living, assisted living. I mean, we have like big ideas. Wouldn't it be great if, as we age, we could have independent living and assisted living if we needed it, and we could partner with healthcare facilities that respected who we are. There are places around the city. There's the town hall. Now that's there, and there's places around the country that's beginning to build this type of environment for seniors to go into. But here's the trick. It sounds like a trick, because some of it, if they get certain funding to build it, then they have to follow certain rules. And it may be a place that may have less LGBTQ people and more people who are not. And in a lot of places that I've looked into, that we can't discriminate against straight people because we want to be in a safe space. But often, even in those houses that were built to support LGBTQ people, other people started bullying or saying certain things to them. It was soon resolved, but something to think about, to have housing where people are respecting us as we are. Next slide, please. This is kind of going back to the youth transitional housing combined with job training. If you've ever worked with any LGBTQ youth, that sometimes they can be all over the map. And if they don't have any support from their family, it can be very, very hard. It can be hard keeping them still. It can be hard heart, just keeping them out of trouble, if you ever mentored any youth. But it's such a need. And this is something that One Roof Chicago is working on and is making a priority. Next slide, please. So this will be mixed income housing for LGBTQ seniors and older adults living with HIV, with low income, market rate units, and continuum of care. That's a mouthful, but it's not impossible. It's not impossible. And again, it's talking about transitional housing at the same site for up to 3 years for LGBTQ youth aged 18 and 24. The word house, you can change to the next slide, please. The word house is a word of privilege. When I was younger and I lived with my mom was a single parent for a long time. We lived in a 1-bedroom apartment and we made it work. It was so much love and support that we made it work. But when I got a little bit older, like in college, and I would hear people with a set of keys, I felt like they belonged somewhere. My mother had passed away. I had, you know, how life can be for an 18-year-old. And I thought, if you have keys, you belong to somewhere. You belong to someone. And it always made me feel kind of funny. I wanted to belong to someone, but I wasn't homeless, but I just wanted to belong. And I just think about how it might feel for those youth who feel like they don't belong, or a senior who's gotten older and they made it through the 70s and the 80s, in the 90s, like some of the guys I know who are still living, are long-term survivors of the HIV epidemic. And they don't have a new group of friends, or they didn't have any children. So One Roof Chicago is impassioned about making a difference. Next slide, please. I just put that up because I like that. This is our sticker. I like our sticker, so I took a picture of it by the tree. Last slide, please. This is how you can support. Go to our website. You'll find things about what we're doing, how you can make donations, tell other people about it, stay in touch with what we are doing. Because we have a plan, but we're also learning as we go along. And, you know, we really appreciate people supporting us, letting us know that they're there, they're watching, they're in favor of what we're doing, or can also make monetary support. But I mean, skill support is important, and there'll be other opportunities for that. And just knowing that you're out there and you're supporting, or wishing us on, saying, "Okay, let's go." That goes a long way.
Our thanks again to Jano for a great presentation and for a really thought-provoking discussion afterwards. Please see the video description below for a copy of the slides, as well as the One Roof Chicago website. You're invited to join us for our next monthly event on Tuesday, May 24th, when we'll host a live presentation on avoiding fraud. Jesus Enriquez of the Illinois Senior Medicare Patrol will join us to offer timely information on how to protect yourself from scammers. See below for information on how you can join us. Thanks for watching, and we hope to see you soon.